Welcome back to This Week in Events. I'm Bob Tuvey, and this edition I'm joined by two fabulous PR people.
I like the word fabulous.
Yeah.
So let me give some names. So Jill Hawkins, NSC PR.
Thank you very much.
And
Good
Paul
to be here.
Richardson of Vivid Inc. PR.
Hi.
So we're recording this live. Can you record live? Live recording live at Confex, International Confex XL on the Thursday 26th, the second day. How's the show been for you guys?
It's been busy. Well, for somebody like me, I've got clients here, so I come along to support them. I've got 3 clients exhibiting, and I help to make their show better for them, so that I do pre-publicity, get them onto panels, get them involved, support. So it's always a good show for me if I've got clients here. There was a dinner last night. One of my clients took out a load of their clients, so we went out for dinner, and that was really nice. Good to meet some of their clients. And I think all in all, it looks like a busy show. And even today, which is traditionally the quieter day, feels busy, feels buzzy. I don't know how you two feel this morning.
Yeah. I'm in a similar position to Jill. Got 3 clients in the room. Again, it's all about, from a PR point of view, is how do we expand their show experience by getting the news that's happening there. So we had 2 product launches yesterday, series of podcasts. So we've got clients being interviewed on camera and by journalists. And the nice thing is, today, second day, coming to the end of the morning, and it's still buzzing. It's great. It's great to see that the aisles are full. There's still people coming in and registering.
It was a slow start this morning. I thought slow start, not as quick to be buzzy as it was yesterday, but it is the second day.
Yeah.
But even so, as you say, it's now picking up quite a bit. And from where we're sitting, we can see the entrance from here. Mm-hmm. We're on the First Sight Media stand studio, an amazing setup. And we can see the entrance, and there's still people flooding in, still coming in.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, isn't it? I mean, okay, some of the exhibitors, me included, might be a little bit jaded this morning, having gone out last night. But the energy's there, and I think you can pick up on that, and I think that gives everyone a boost then, doesn't it?
Yeah, no sympathies. If it's self-inflicted, I mean, what can you say?
Yeah, those of us that were early in bed last night, enjoying the morning.
But it's something that I've really noticed more this year is the increase in activities around the show, the dinners, the non-official things that have been going on, and I think that's really important, as you were saying earlier, Paul.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to, going back to years and years ago in the carpet fair at Harrogate. The carpet fair at Harrogate happened in the exhibition hall and its associated temporary structures. But all the hotels, the restaurants, everything was booked. People flew in and were brought in, and the meetings happened in afterwards. But it also meant that all those people were then available to come into the show, either on the first night or the second night, and it enhanced the experience. Because if you've got those things going off in the evening, you've got a network of people that have met, and some of them might be meeting for the first time or old friends, so that the show floor buzzes a bit more the next day because everybody's met and they're catching up and chatting, and it kind of, for International Confex here at XL, it feels a little bit more like like Confex used to feel before the pandemic, that it's the industry's gathering place. So everybody who's anything connected to it is in here, talking, networking, speaking to each other. Yeah, really good.
Well, these outside events could actually be the tipping point between shall we attend or not.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're a visitor and you've got a distance to cover and you're looking at the costs, because it's not going to be cheap, but knowing that you can attend an evening event where you're connecting with people you've not met before, or as an extension of something that happened during the day, then that could be the thing that makes you go, well, yeah, it's worth attending there, it's worth going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think attending a dinner or a networking event last night will then bring people back into the show today, because they've stayed over. So that could be why it's busier today, maybe.
Absolutely. And also, one of the other things is that when you've got that audience in there, whoever it may be, on the first or second day, because they've got external meetings, there could be a proportion of those who are potential exhibitors. And
absolutely.
You come into a buzzing show and you look and you think, why aren't we here?
Yep.
We probably should be exhibiting. So for the organiser, for Mash Media, this is a great selling platform because it's built on not only what they're doing, but also what their exhibitors and other people are doing outside. And it really is a wraparound effect. I think it's great. I love it. Love to see more of it.
It's that acknowledgement, isn't it? I know back in the day, when did I handle PR for Confex? Back when it was a UBM Miller Freeman show, and it was at Earl's Court. The M&IT Awards happened the night before Confex, the Monday night, and then Confex was the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I remember talking to, I can't remember who it was, one of the commercial team at M&IT, and Martin Lewis it was actually, and he said, it's because everyone comes to Confex. We acknowledge that everyone's in town, so we put our awards on the night before. Because I was a bit, are you trying to steal our thunder? No, not at all. We're really properly taking advantage of the fact people are here, because this is where the industry meets. Do you feel we're going back to that a little bit, which obviously must be a positive?
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. The more you can co-locate and co-time things to happen, the bigger aggregated mass you get.
Absolutely.
So we're going to move on to our news item.
Yes.
Which, I mean, it's great discussing all these extra things that are going around in the show, but we also do talk from time to time, mention a news item. So, Paul, you found this news item on Exhibition News.
Yep, it was covered on Exhibition News yesterday, or I saw it yesterday on Exhibition News, and it was Excel quite rightly celebrating the fact that they got shows that had relocated to Excel. And I'd love to explore whether this is the excellence of the Excel's PR machine in terms of they're getting their news out about things that are happening in places are relocating. Is that what's getting, from my perspective, I see more of this than other things? Are other venues launching things and not getting it out there and not telling people? Are shows moving and gravitating towards a huge purpose-built exhibition venue here? It just got me asking some questions. What's the underlying reason for this? Are the shows expanding so rapidly in smaller venues that they have to find bigger space? So that then naturally falls into here and the NEC.
Well, let me read the first paragraph for the article, just to give some context to it. So, Excel London is reporting it is set for a record year for new business in 2026, hosting an additional 23 major new and relocated events this year alone. So the question is, what is the proportion between new and relocating? Because we know that some events do really, really well, and they're going from a venue that they're now not fitting properly, and it's not great for the attendee experience. They're looking for a larger venue. So what is the proportion between the relocating and the new? What do you think?
I also wonder how many events have come from places that have been through redevelopment, such as Olympia, that's just coming to the end of the redevelopment actually, and then attracting new shows because Olympia's going great guns at the moment. There's so many new events coming to Olympia at the moment because of the redevelopment there. But then also we've got the Barbican just about to go through a closure. So have those events gone on a temporary basis because the Barbican's shut? I don't know.
Are they totally shutting? Because they've just opened up a new room, haven't they?
They will be as far as I'm aware, they're totally shutting for complete redevelopment. I think that was the news story.
I'm not entirely sure that's great timing, considering it's...
But when is good timing?
Well,
though? That's
true
the
enough,
thing.
true enough.
And also that thing of, I think what you said about the size, there isn't anywhere in London that has the sheer size of Excel.
Yeah.
Not not the combined halls, but and is it the Elizabeth line? The fact that we've got the transport now. I beat you to it.
Yeah, you just beat me to it. I was going to say, is the Elizabeth line the icing on the cake for Excel? Because obviously we all loved travelling out here on DLR. But for us, we travelled down from where we're based in the north of England. We travelled down. The train journey down was an absolute nightmare due to, unfortunately, we had a fatality on the railway line on the train in front of us. But once we got here, it was straight onto the Elizabeth line, whoosh, and you're here, and it's great. It's just so easy. There's accommodation all over. That convenience is quite important. It doesn't quite have the cohesive community feel that we used to have at Earl's Court, where you had the pubs, the restaurants, and you got the Hand and Flower. You could walk, if you're in the exhibitions industry, you could walk in the Hand and Flower and find somebody to have a drink with 24/7 whenever you went in.
Everyone is in there.
It was the place to gather. The Fox is probably the Excel's equivalent to that. But what is causing that? And is it that some shows are a particular shape that requires a purpose-built venue of this size and accessibility at this level? Because other venues, perhaps some of the older venues don't have the access that you have here. I mean, it's a shame we lost Seagrove Road car park, which was a good assembly point for putting things into Excel and into Olympia, but that's now gone. That went with the Earl's Court sale, so you lose some of that. So then you've got more challenges. It'll be interesting to see when you're talking about, Jill, you know Olympia quite well, how, and at some point you'll tell us they're one of your clients, but I wouldn't dare let you drop that into this conversation. But but pulling, if they've got clients moving in, new shows coming in, so where are they coming from? What other exhibition venues are incubators for the bigger venues? So do the incubator smaller venues launch and grow a show? Does it then move? I mean, there's one that we exhibit at, Event Tech Live. I shouldn't say that while we're in the middle of International Confex, but at Event Tech Live we exhibited at. When we first exhibited with them, they were in the Old Truman Brewery, which was a real quirky little venue, and it kind of fitted the personality of the show.
It was nice because you had this high-tech show in this quite industrial, bare floor venue, didn't you?
Did you feel it was a bit more intimate, a bit more of a connection with the exhibitors and the attendees, because it was a little tight? I was there twice before it moved here into Excel, and I remember it being sort of like a bit packed, a lot of people around, and you had to sort of move your way through, but it felt kind of like a little bit more of a connection with everybody, more of a community, because it's not so spaced out.
And I question, with Excel, we've obviously got the amazing boulevard, but then how many visitors are in the boulevard when they're not in the show? You know, it's quite buzzy and busy out there, but should they be in the show? Should the show be trying to keep those people in here? I don't know.
I have a question. I don't think anybody, if you're coming to Confex and then leaving, if you're coming to ETL, Event Tech Live, and leaving, you don't get any idea of the size of Excel until you attend World Travel Market.
And then you see, the whole
World Travel Market
centre
reveals areas that you never knew existed at this place. It is immense. One end is in Custom House, the other one's in Stratford. It's about a 4 or 5 mile long building.
You need your walking boots on.
I'm sure there needs to be people with pedals or some sort of cycle system.
We'll get you on a Segway going up and down.
I'll tell you, if somebody was at the main entrance with Segways, they would make a fortune.
And someone there filming as people fell off and sending it into You've Been Framed. That's showing my age now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's considering it's all now on TikTok and or TokTik or whatever it's called, I don't know.
But I do wonder how many people do we leave? How many conversations are happening outside of the event here? Because we have got that amazing coffee place. You know, the coffee, the bars, everything in the corridor, it's Boulevard, isn't it, I think? But then, should those people be in the show?
It's interesting you say that, because I know there are 2 guilty people around this table who had a meeting with 2 editors yesterday at lunchtime, and I'll exclude Bob from this conversation. But there's 2 PR people sitting around this table, and we met out there. And partly it was because that's where the food is, so you go and buy from the concessions and sit outside. And really, I suppose the question is, should that be in here? Should there be catered areas in here? And I don't know what the commercial arrangements are with Excel and things, or whether it has to be left in that way, but it does seem counterproductive in some aspects, because if you go out there for a coffee halfway through the morning, then you go out there for your meal at lunchtime, if you're a visitor, that's time when stalking the show floor, being involved, being active and participating.
No, I think it's very important that you have an opportunity to leave the show floor just simply for your mental health. When you feel overwhelmed, so fully admit I'm a smoker. I will go outside, not simply to have a cigarette, but to get some fresh air, to see daylight, to recoup and recover a little bit, and then come back in. At least if you're going to a local coffee shop or somewhere to eat, you're still within Excel. You haven't left the building.
I wasn't suggesting that people are prevented from leaving. I'm just saying.
You're going to wrap them as
they think they're going to be chained up on a long leash.
But I think the provision of something to allow people to stay within here. Because again, if you meet somebody on the stand and you say, right, shall we pop for lunch? to keep them in the show and have lunch here. It just keeps.
Wouldn't there be some sort of licensing
I don't know.
cooked food or?
That's the commercial arrangement
I
between the show. But I get Jill's point. You do tend to. It's how many
You
hours are
lose
spent
people.
out there
Yeah.
when they could be in here,
And
and how do you do it?
The issue that we saw MASH do an article earlier in the year asking suppliers not to sneak into Confex. I do know some suppliers that will just go and sit outside and they won't come into the show, but they'll have all their meetings here because they do acknowledge that everyone's here, but they don't want to pay to get in for whatever reason. We're not going into that now.
That's a different conversation, and there's a lot to be said about
But
that.
people actually holding court out there and doing lots of business out there.
It is an interesting point. We didn't in the end get a stand here. We very nearly took a stand, but we're short on members of staff. We're down one member who's on long-term sick, so we decided we're going to come down because we've got exhibitors here to support and doing things like this podcast and one or two other things. And by being here, I've walked past a couple of people who've contacted me that I've known were of interest previously. So they found me and said, "Can we have a chat?" One of them dragged me back to their stand to say, "Right, okay, can we talk after the show? We need to talk about this, and this, and this." And another chap who just serendipitously walked up to me in the coffee shop and said, "Oh, I'm glad you're here. Can we talk about something we want you to do?" Now, okay, we've got business out of that, but that client has now got something that may help them develop and expand, which means, I don't know, if they get bigger, will they take a bigger stand? Will they move from shell scheme to self-build? I think it's a little bit. There needs to be some discrete differentiation between the three groups that this industry seems to fall into: organisers, venues, suppliers, and there's such a blurring of boundaries, and there's more nuances and subdivisions. But anyway, we digress in terms of that. That's an organiser decision.
That's issues for organiser to sort out and deal with. Especially with the food issues, I would suggest it's better to have a deal with the outside food providers. I don't know, vouchers or something, just so you know that if you come to the show, you get a better deal when it comes to the food, because we are a captured audience for all the food vendors outside. So maybe a little bit of cooperation, whatever. But we are talking mostly about the progression from a small venue, medium, to larger, and Excel seems to be enjoying having this extra shows coming. Should we worry about the fact that it seems there's no definition whether it's new or moving going on?
It's very much it would have been nice to see how many new shows are starting here. I think that would be a great figure to see as a real indication of how business is for the industry.
Yeah.
How many new shows are starting in the UK? Are there figures? Does the AEO have figures for that, I wonder?
And as a resident from outside the M25, it'd be nice to see launch shows at other venues not based in London. So what's happening in Manchester, what's happening in Leeds, what's happening in Hull, what's happening in Newcastle, because we've got event venues of various sizes scattered all over the place. There's lots of venues that we could be looking at and saying, are these the incubators? Is this where... Some things will be regional shows that will stay regional because it's their very nature to be in that region. But there are some where you think, well, if this grows in, let's say for sake of argument, grows in Manchester and outgrows Manchester Central, where does it go? How does it relocate? Then what happens? Then are there new shows launching? To that kind of fluid picture, because it benefits all. It's not a one venue taking all the lion's share.
There's the sustainability show Reset Connect, which I think is around the top. I don't know when the next is, but they recently had an extra venue up in the north. Was it Manchester? I think. I'm sure somebody will correct me on that. But it is kind of the show growing, because they started off here at Excel, and now they've got two shows where they are here at Excel and also north of the M25. Make sure you've got your passport ready and you've had your injections. So it's good to know that that's growing and getting bigger, but it's not the same as a brand new show that's now happening, because that is an indication of the industry growing and coming successfully away from lockdown.
I might disagree with you on that point, because I think if you're growing a show and you are geolocating, even within the UK, I'd say that's a new show, because it's a separate entity in a separate location. So
Yeah,
I think that should be classed as a new show, because it's a growth and an expansion. Much like if International Confex decided they were going to expand the show to Paris, that is a new show. I think we need to be careful that we don't just because it's within our national borders, that we don't treat it as just an extra add-on. I think that's a valid new show.
I agree. Well, we used to have Confex North, didn't we?
It was around for a while, yeah.
There was.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. They did and we used to have what was the venue show that was up at Birmingham, the National Venue Show that was up there for a while. But anyway, we digress. I agree.
That thought came to me sitting here on an earlier podcast about the venue show, and I was racking my brains trying to think where it was, because it would have been useful to reference back then. But
Yeah, it's interesting. But I do think that Excel is in a very unique place of having the size that it is. I would argue that there are, I was going to say nicer, sorry Excel, there are more quirky, interesting venues in London, like the Business Design Centre, like Olympia, like the Barbican, that perhaps are more suited to the smaller niche shows. And what we were saying earlier about events happening around on the peripheries of a show, it's harder to do here. The dinner that we had was over at Canary Wharf. Had to get an Uber, 20 quid in an Uber, or had to get on the tube. There isn't really many places around Excel for a nice dinner. Yes, we've got Canary Wharf, but that's where I think places like the Business Design Centre, Olympia, Barbican excel, because they're more in the community. There are a nice little restaurant down the road, that sort of thing, or part of the development.
It could be a very difficult choice for organisers, because if you go into central London when you've got the fancy buildings, not just the purpose-built ones, but the really old Grade 1, Grade 2 listed, they look fabulous, really attractive, great transport links, but there's nowhere to park, and it's difficult to get to for some people, and it's because it's right smack bang in the middle. Here at Excel, we've got the Docklands Light Railway, the DLR. We've got the Elizabeth line. You could drive here. Paul, you drove here, I believe.
Not this time, but I did come down for Excel.
Right, so for VegTech Live, you drove down, and I'm sure that wasn't. It was a better experience than driving into central London, trying to find somewhere to park and leave your car.
If I don't want to bring in the cost to come in, I mean the same thing. You still get the congestion charging and the ULEZ charging, and you get charged for parking a car for an hour. You get a day's parking fee here. So I think. But even driving's not. You arrive exhausted. You arrive after a 4.5 hour drive to park your car, and you are done. You are finished.
Well, wherever you've got to drive to, I suppose there's that. But what I'm trying to say is, you've got all the advantages of transport links here, and you might have a better experience driving here. If you're doing the after-show events, I was talking to one exhibitor, and they were sponsoring a nighttime event. Didn't actually say who it was for, but they had to go into central London. So it's a difficult choice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you have your event in central London but suffer all the problems of getting there and wandering around and finding a place, and it might not be big enough? Or do you come to a place like Excel where it's absolutely immense? This is like a major city by itself, and you've got all the transport links, but you've got not much going on. There are a few restaurants outside of the building,
but over at Canary Wharf, there's a load of lovely restaurants, but they're a distance away.
There is some restaurants local, but they're not going to be the kind that you would want to take your 20, 25 guests to.
Exactly.
Because you're trying to persuade them to become clients, so you treat them out for a night out. If you're going to go for a night out to impress your clients or potential clients, you want central London.
Or there isn't, the testament to the event I went to last night, it was a Showlight, a stand building contractor who were here at the show. held a dinner in a private room for 20 or so of their clients who are all exhibition organisers who are all at the show, and yet we had to go to Canary Wharf for it. It wasn't anything on our doorstep. We couldn't just walk from the hotels that we're staying at by Excel to that nice restaurant. We went to Hawksmoor, gorgeous place. And it's that level, isn't it? And I think that's where other venues around London have that upper edge on the extracurricular activities, I think.
And if the outside show meetings and dinners are happening, that might be the stimulus to get them to provide or to build some provision here. It might be what's needed. It might be the catalyst, because you don't want to be losing that trade out to London, because if you're going out to the dinner out there, then some of your guests may choose to stay out in London, in London,
and not come back to the show.
Not come back to the show.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in the interests of cohesion of the event is to keep them here, give them the dining experience. The eating, as in let's eat to survive, is provided for, but if you're wanting to do something like that, corporate hospitality,
exactly.
I'm sure Excel will make the case that they've got rooms here you could hire to have your corporate dining in, but it's
not the same. Really isn't. And that whole thing though of do you lose, this is a question, I don't know if this is the case or not, do you lose people if people then leave the show, go back to their hotel room to freshen up? If they then have to travel too far, do you lose people? They think, oh, I can't be bothered. Or actually, if they're going back to their hotel and then the venue for the corporate dining is 2-minute walk away, are you less likely to lose people?
Yeah.
Just a thought, really.
It's kind of... I'm guessing it's difficult for the organisers to think about, because they are
focused
100% focused on what's happening within this box that we're in.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are organisers that run shows that look at the holistic approach to how do we bring it all together. I mean, you've talked about World Travel Market. I'm pretty sure that they've looked very hard at how they do that, because if you fill this entire venue, you're going to have an awful lot of people wandering around looking for accommodation and food, and it's a bigger thing than just a small show.
Absolutely. I would like to see more organisers embrace the pre and post event entertainment to extend, and I think that from what I'm gathering, a lot of the more forward thinking organisers are actually doing that. They're extending they are realising that if they encourage activities in the evening, people will come back the next day. They're building more value into their exhibitors being there, aren't they? By encouraging the elongation. I'm using lots of big words today. The elongation of the event.
And if you've got people coming for a first night event, it may flatten out the visitor profile, which we've all seen since the pandemic. In day one, buzzers are really nice, great, and then day two it tends to flatten out, and by lunchtime, day two, it's dead. Whereas if you can keep people in the area, so they come in the evening, have their meal, then come to the show, you've got people who may do a whole show's visit in that second day. Absolutely.
And that whole thing of, I believe there's more things going on tonight. So exactly as you said, that traditional slump that we get in the Thursday afternoon, the dead spot, the not many people around. If people are coming into town for half a day at the show, perhaps come at lunchtime today, spend the afternoon here, and then they're out this evening.
It's the EN 100, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah.
So you've got 100 of the most influential people in the exhibitions market coming out here for the evening. So a couple of hours walk around the show, and it gives exhibitors more time to engage with high-level people. It's a holistic approach, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to hear from any organisers on that one.
Yes, the forward-thinking ones that are actually really embracing the before and after the actual official event.
And coming back to the story that we were talking about, is I wonder if that's when we're looking at how venues retain, those venues that retain shows that don't migrate to a bigger venue. I'd love to know if that's part of the rationale. It'd be interesting to say why do we stay here? Is it, if we're being honest, in terms of ease of putting a show on, I would think a purpose-built venue like this is an easier one to get in and out of and build. It'll all have everything has its teething problems and hiccups, but it'll be easier to do this than it will to build an event in one of the city centre venues.
Yeah.
But do people stay with those venues or regional venues because of the extra things they get?
Interesting. Yeah, can we get an organiser on to talk about?
Love to. Yeah.
That'd be-
Well, there are ways on Event Planning News Journal to feedback with videos or comments. So yeah, please get in touch and let us know what you think, and or become a guest.
Cool. That's
That'd be
great.
so cool. Yeah, I think it's good that we can have these debates and actually have a chat about these sort of things, because there are things that we get to talk about that maybe inspires other people or just gets a conversation going.
Absolutely.
I mean, you guys are coming up with things I wouldn't have thought of.
We've been around the block a lot, haven't we,
Yeah,
Paul?
yes.
Well,
Years of experience.
I'm not going to mention any of that. No, if you want to mention that, that's totally on your shoulders.
I think we've probably got a fairly unique viewpoint on it, because we've both been exhibitors, we've both been visitors, we've both worked with exhibitors, and we've both helped organisers. So you kind of get a real helicopter view from this position, and you kind of get a warts and all view from it, just because of the nature of the work we do. So I suppose it gives us a little bit of insight.
Oh, absolutely. And I know, sorry, but as you said earlier, I do work with Olympia, and I have been talking to them a lot and their organisers, and I will see if I can get one of the organisers on board to talk about extending the shows, because that's something that Olympia are very keen to help the organisers do because of the redevelopment, and you've got 30 restaurants at the top of Olympia. That's
cool.
amazing, isn't it? We need to get you to have a look, Bob.
Yeah.
Come and have a little tour.
Oh, that'd
Hard
be cool.
hat tour.
Well, yeah, happy with that. Are you actually paid by Mention? just want
But
to check.
I'm sorry, it is relevant though.
No,
So
it is.
we were talking about exhibition spaces.
It is, but
so
it's just so much fun to pull your leg about.
I know.
The trouble is, it's
You're
very,
mean.
it's very difficult to talk about companies and people without going, well, actually, they're a good friend. Actually,
Yeah.
I support this company. Actually, I work with them.
Yeah.
I used to be in that company. It's very difficult.
Well, when you've been in the industry sort of 30 odd years like me and Paul, you have been around the block. You do, and also we do pick up information from. We'll talk to one client, and that's an interesting trend. Then talk to another one. So, of course, it's the clients that we talk to that they're the ones that we get all our intel and information from. So
this is the other thing about these shows that we go to. I've been here for both days, and my feet are telling me I've been here for both days. But you end up having conversations with people, and it's not just come and find your solution, but also a networking event. And this is what the before or after shows in the evening are all about. It's the extended networking opportunities. And if you've got a networking event happening at the end of the first day, and you're in central London having a dinner, talking to people, you can have those conversations, but you might actually have a meeting as a result of that on the second day.
yeah,
So not only are they great opportunities and maybe a reason for actually coming to the show, the tipping point, but it's actually probably great for the show itself, because people are persuaded to come to the second day and deals are being made.
yeah, absolutely. And that's what every exhibitor wants, really. Somebody to just wander onto their stand and say, yes, please, I'd like to buy from you. So,
And something you've mentioned past episodes, Paul, is the serendipity of wandering around a show. So finding somebody and having a chat and then go, well, I'm actually going to an event tonight. Would you like to come along?
Yeah, and an example of that is this morning. I was just walking along, and as I say, there was somebody that we've been talking to since Event Tech Live, who's exhibiting here, who then hoid me off the floor and dragged me onto their stand for a quick chat. This is it. This is the timeline. Let's pick it up after the show. So that's moved on. They've got something they want out of it. We've got hopefully going to get something we want out of it. Another person approached me in the coffee bar, and they started the conversation. We know of you. Can we have a conversation about something we need to do? Now, that's because I'm in the room. And again, I keep coming back to this whole thing about the mix of people in the room. That engagement, would that encourage me, and none of the MASH sales team, please listen to this, but would that encourage me to exhibit here next year? Yes, it probably would.
yeah, absolutely.
Because I've made a couple of connections here. We didn't this year because we just couldn't get things right because we didn't have enough staff. But then next year, it's right, okay, let's make a dedicated plan to come next year.
Yeah.
Wonder how many more people are in the room that could be exhibitors here that look around and go, yeah, it's buzzing. The second day was still busy. We should be here. I mean, it's a sales tool for them as well as for everybody else. So
Absolutely.
it
That's
all
what
works.
I'd
Of course it
like
is.
to finish with is, do you think that these shows are growing and moving to bigger venues because they are having these outside show experience going on, which is encouraging people to attend the second day, or if it's happening the night before the show, is it encouraging people to attend, therefore more attendees, and they're getting bigger?
Oh, it's with any show, the issue of growth is always you've got to do exhibitor growth and visitor growth hand in hand. You can't massively increase. I've seen shows before massively increase the number of exhibitors without them putting too much money into the visitor promotion, and the show feels awful. The show feels really empty because you know the density isn't there. Who knows? It's really tricky to say, isn't it? That I think shows are coming here because it is seen as an easy venue, and we have seen other event venues in London perhaps be closed as well. So I'd like to see how many have come from venues that aren't actually operating at the moment,
So basically,
or not going to be operating.
Well, that report, it's great to see the news that's shared in that report. A little bit more of a breakdown would have been appreciated, especially from that point, which I didn't think of. Which, are they moving to new venues? As it seemed like, the industry must be growing because shows are moving to bigger venues. But is it because of growth, or is it because, unfortunately, UK venues are struggling and closing?
Yeah, I think more closing because of redevelopment. We've seen a lot of redevelopment going on in bigger venues such as the Barbican and Olympia, and that's going to impact. Of course, it does.
They're long existing venues. They've been around for quite a time, so it's not a case of too big to fail. But
Well, if the Barbican's going to be shut, we think the Barbican's going to be shut in a year or so. So,
yeah,
are these? It also doesn't say when those exhibitions are taking place, does it? Those 23 exhibitions. Could this be things booked for 2028? From the bar, but we don't know. It would be nice to interrogate that a little bit more, wouldn't it?
And it's a nice announcement, and it might be that there's elements of confidentiality and commercial rationale for not saying that. But it would be interesting to have a venue-wide survey done. It's an organisation like the AEV, but it needs to be more than just their membership, because there are venues that aren't members of the AEV. We used to work for the East of England Arena and Event Centre, and that was 240 acres of grass and a 9,000 square metre exhibition hall.
Right.
And they were very late to join the AEV. Unfortunately, no longer exists as a venue. It's bizarrely, it's a regional venue that was lost to a housing development, and the housing development's fallen through, so we have lost. We lost that facility. It's a real tragedy. But it had the potential to be a bigger regional venue. But where did their exhibitors go?
Yeah.
When that closed for redevelopment, where did they go? And there's a number of shows in there, B2B shows, B2C shows, live event, outdoor shows, all migrated to different places. And where does that happen? Does that feed into the smaller venues for them to grow them, from them to go? It'd be interesting to understand and have more of a public view of how the ecosystem is performing.
That'd be interesting. Who can we get to commission that then?
The associations would be good to do that, because they're an independent body, or relatively independent.
and they've probably got a vast amount of members who aren't venues, or at least connected to a venue in some way.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should bring this to an end.
Yeah.
It's been a great conversation. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah.
Thank
I need to go
you.
outside and get a coffee now.
Yeah, and lunch. Something to eat would be cool.
Oh, that was great. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you so
Thanks
much,
very
and
much, Bob.
thank you to First Sight Media. We are at their stand at International Confex, recording this live recording live. I don't know what it is. And so thank you to the team, and thank you to guys, and thank you to everybody for listening.
Thank you.
Great.
See you
Thanks.
soon.
See you soon.